The best way to add a new document is to be from your drive so that it doesn't get put into the wrong spot. So you click Google Docs when you're inside of the spot that you want to be. So again, I'm in the place that I want this to upload at, and so I just click Add. And so when I get to the place that I want to add it, I just click New, and I click Google Docs, Create and Share, and then I can add certain things here. So I can name this document whatever I want it to be. So this is my Google PD document. And then I can start adding text here. So I can change my text type, but the first thing I want to do is add a title. So this is Google PD. And then maybe I want to add a subtitle to it. And then I can start adding my headings. Google 101, and then I can start adding some text about that. And maybe I want a separate heading. And maybe after I type some text about that, maybe I want a heading 2 inside of that. So I can add some things there. So the reason you want to kind of keep up with your document this way, adding titles and headings and subtitles and other things, is because the view that you can take. So if I click View and I click Show Document Outline, and now it gives me a better view of where I can go with this. So as this document increases in its size, I can easily find the text that I want to find inside of this document. Okay. So you can actually change some things about the text. So if I want to highlight this and I want it to be, this text, and maybe I want it to be this size, you can change that. Maybe I want it bolded and underlined, and then I want it centered. So those are the basic things that you're probably all familiar with. And then you can actually do some things to your text. Maybe I want it to be green, and I can also highlight the text if I want to. Maybe I want the background to be blue, and so that'll give me a nice view of that. I'm going to change that back. So if you want to change your text and highlight, it's a button. So when I'm on highlight, I can click no highlight to take that away. Okay, so those are your basic tools there, and then line spacing. So maybe I want my entire document to be double spaced. Maybe I want my entire document to be single spaced. It just kind of depends on what you want it to be. If I want to add some numbers, you can actually add things there. So you can have a numbered list going, just as with any Word document. You can have a bulleted list if you want to change it to that. You can change the style of the bullets through that. You can also change the spacing just with this. So if I want this to be double spaced only, then I can actually make that double spaced. So that's how you can get your formatting. Another thing that you can do is add links. And so I can say Kahoot. I can actually highlight the text, and when I click Insert Link, it actually searches the internet for those specific things. And so I can click Apply, and now that is a link to navigate to. You can also insert images, and there's a few different ways. You can upload them from a computer, and that's pretty standard. I think you kind of know how to do that, but just in case, maybe this is the image. Let's see, this one here. Maybe I want this image to be thrown in here. Once I click on it, I can resize it. So that's one way to insert an image. Another way to insert an image, insert image, search for the web. You can search directly from there. Then I can select it. I can click insert. I can actually select multiple if I want several to be inserted, depending on what I want to do. I click insert, and that image goes there. Again, I can resize it. I can choose whether to wrap text or however I want to do that. I can backspace and put them side by side if I wanted to. I can make them both wrap text. I can make them both inline, to make them more together, depending on what I want to do. Another way to insert is insert image from your drive. So when I click insert from drive, I can go to recent. But it's a lot easier just to click on my drive and then navigate to the folder that you want to go to. So I know in this folder in my Google PD specifically, I have 2 images that I wanted to upload. Well, I've already uploaded this one from my computer directly. This is another one that I want to insert. So I click insert, and now that image is in there. Again, I can resize it. Okay, so that's how you insert from your drive. You can also insert by URL or from your Google Photos. The URL, if you copy the URL directly from Google or another website that has the URL specifically for your image, then that would be the way you want to do it. Some things that you can do with the image afterwards. So this image specifically, maybe I want to do some image options. I can actually click that, and then I can actually make it more transparent, or less transparent. I can change the brightness. Some things there. Another thing I can do is I can just completely recolor it. So maybe I want it to look a little vintage. I can do that. So that's some things that you can do with the image itself. You can actually link the image. So I can actually click insert link. So when I'm highlighted, I can click insert link. And what link do I want? Well, I can actually make this go to our website specifically. And it finds that website. And I click apply. Now, when this is clicked, people can actually go to our website when they're in the view mode. To kind of show you what that looks like, I'll show you in a minute how that changes. But before we do that, we'll talk about what else you can insert. You can insert, we already did the link, you can insert an equation. So you can use these math operators, Greek letters, your multipliers, greater than, less than, some of your higher order stuff. And then just arrows for like limits and other things like that. So you have equation editor. It stays here unless you hit this, click this X. So now that is gone. Another thing that you can do is insert a chart. You can insert different ones. If you already have a Google Sheet with data in it, you can insert it from a particular sheet. Or you can just go ahead and click one of these, and when you do, it automatically populates some data to kind of show you what it looks like. And if you want to go to where that sheet is, you can click the link chart option, and you can actually open the source. And so if you didn't originally make the chart itself, you can now edit the chart to change it for what you need. And as soon as I change some things, let's say I make this 90, it will go ahead and change those things for me. And so once I go back to this, I have to actually click the update chart so that that new data comes there, and it'll remind you that that needs to be done. The same thing with this. You can actually make this image a little more transparent. Maybe it's not bright enough for you. You can actually do some things with it so it's not completely just sitting there. You can make some changes, and you can also change these colors, but you would do the color changes from here. Is where you would do it, is inside of Google Sheets, but we'll do a Google Sheets professional development later on. Alright. You can also insert tables. So I can actually just choose the table size, and some things you can do with the table afterwards is I can highlight an area, I can right click, and I can go to table properties, and then I can actually change the cell background color. So a lot of times you want that top cell to be a different color so that you have different things, and you can actually go ahead and change your table alignment. You can actually go ahead and center the table if you want it to be in the center, and the cell vertical alignment, you can go ahead and change that. Here. So cell background color, I've changed it to what I want, and I can actually start doing my typing here. If I want that centered again, I just highlight it, I come up here and I go to centered, so now it looks a little bit better. So that's how you insert a chart. The next thing we want to talk about is what you can do for like APA papers and that type of thing. So maybe since we typed in coffee earlier, maybe I want to talk about coffee specifically. And so on the web, maybe I go here, I search the web, I find some information I like, I copy it, I go back to my document and I paste it in. Well, I stole this technically from somewhere because I didn't give credit. Well, I need to give credit. So what I do is I say, this is going to be an APA paper. I'm going to cite it here. And now it's citing that for me in the footnote. So I don't have to worry about citation issues. It's going ahead and doing that information for me. So if I go to another website and I copy some information from there, I can do the same thing. Takes a minute. All right, so maybe I like this. I can copy that. I can come back here, paste it in. I got that from this website, so I put a 2. And if I scroll down, now it's actually giving me information, the information about that website, showing proof that where I got the information from. Another thing that you can do when you're here is you can edit. And so I can go into editing mode is what I'm in. So that's why I've been able to actually type and do things. But possibly I don't want to do edits. Maybe I want to just do some suggesting. So maybe I'm sharing this with a colleague. Maybe Google 101 is not working for me. Maybe I'd rather draw this Google for beginners. Maybe that's what I want to call it. So I'm suggesting that. I haven't actually made those changes. Now, me or the other person that can make edits, we can actually accept that suggestion. Now, if the person doesn't have editing rights and they do that suggestion, then it will just be a suggestion and you'll have to actually approve it. So I can say, okay, you know what, that is a good way to call it. So I click the check and it does that for me. I can undo that. And what I can actually do is say, you know what, I don't like your suggestion. It takes it away. Again, if I undo it, there's another thing you can do. I can actually reply to this and tell them, that's a great idea, and reply and then hit check. And so it's saying, great idea. Thanks for letting me know. And that's what it is. So right here I'm saying, you know what, you need to delete that space. I click check and it does that for me. The other mode you can go into is viewing. And so while you're in this mode, this is a good mode to share documents with people with, because as you'll notice, when I linked this earlier, when I clicked on it, the blue link showed up down here. But now that we're in view mode, and this is the way you definitely want to share it with people, so that when they click on things, it takes them to the place that you want them to take. So it turns everything into a true link instead of it being in the other mode. All right, and then lastly, we'll talk about the share. Oh, actually comments before we talk about share. So I can actually leave comments, and there's some running comments here because of the editing that I did earlier with the suggesting. But maybe I want to add a comment. That's funny or whatever. I can actually make a comment, and whoever comes and looks at this document, even if they're in viewing mode, they actually can still see this. Or they can't, I'm sorry, if they're in viewing mode, they can't see the comment, but they can only see it if they're in editing mode. If you give them the rights to that, if they're in viewing mode, they don't actually get to see the comments. You can actually resolve comments. Maybe it's a comment to make a change. Maybe they didn't use the suggesting mode. Maybe they made a comment for a change. You can actually click resolved, or maybe they asked a question for clarification about this certain section. You can resolve that. Another thing is you can edit any comment that you make, and you can reply to any comment. I fixed whatever it was. So actually, you can reply to any comment. So this can be, a running board of comments, and you can actually the original comment you can link to the comment. So I can copy this link and I can actually shoot that exact comment link to someone, and it'll take them directly to that spot in the Google Doc. So if I copy that link and I shared it with someone and they click on it and they go here, what it does is it takes them directly to the comment. It might take a minute, but it takes them directly to that comment and shows them, here's that comment that was made that it was about. So that's a good feature to use. Lastly, let's talk about the sharing feature. When I click share, I can get a shareable link, again, just like we did in Google Drive earlier. And you click more, and you can actually pick, all right, there we go. So I can actually pick from the different ones that I want. Just like in Google Drive, I can make it public on the web. Anyone with a link, Okefenokee anyone with a link at Okefenokee or off. Only the people I share this with can actually look at it. So it's just really dependent on what you want to do. And if I do a link sharing, I can choose, once they have that link, what can they do with it. So it's a good idea to, leave that at can view, especially if you're going public on the web. Another thing you can do is you can add email addresses. So if I start typing in, I can share it with this person. I can change their rights by clicking the down arrow over here, and I can add a note as I send it to them. If I click on advanced, I can actually change the features here. Again, I can set an expiration. I can make this view finals or not, or I can just delete them off. And that's pretty much everything that you need to know.